Getting rid of bullies is a bad idea because you set up a lot of young adults for life who can't handle being bullied. And there's a difference between emotional bullying and physical bullying. You ever hear cyberbullying? You're safe. You're behind a screen. You're behind a computer.
Well, that's just people taking things the wrong way. It's like it makes me think of the South Park episode where Cartman wants to do something, and he thinks he's the strongest kid in school, so he takes a picture, and Cartman's this fat little kid. He takes a picture of him flexing in his underwear in the gym mirror and posts it on his Twitter. I think it was his Twitter. And everybody makes fun of him for it. So he gets all upset. He goes, "They picked on me because I'm strong, and they're all calling me fat." And it's a hilarious episode, right? But in the end, the principal makes people who don't like him control his social media, right? So he's allowed to post anything he wants, and this moderator, this friend of his that's a moderator, has to sort out all the bad stuff so he only sees the good comments. And like, it's funny because like that's your job as a human, is to be able to decipher the good from the bad and learn how to take it personally, learn how to take it without taking it personally, learn how to not take it personally, learn how to, take criticism and know that it's meaningless, or see where you can grow from it. And like, the perfect safe space doesn't exist, and like, I don't think bullying of itself is necessarily good. I think there's good that can come from it. Like Andrew Tate says, you know, men do the most growth when they experience trauma, right? But like women get bullied too, right? So I wouldn't personally advocate for it, but I also wouldn't pretend it's nothing but bad, because it's what you make of it. It's like, if you got bullied and you decide to make it bad, then it's bad. But if you got bullied and you decide to make the best of it, great. Like my siblings picked on me. My siblings, in some regards, what did stuff that people would consider bullied me. Like, but they're siblings, like I had friends who bullied me and picked on me, like you. I was homeschooled. I lived under a rock, as everybody always said, right? So like, to some degree, you could argue that was bullying. I know,
but that's it right there.
Used to get bullied.
It's really all how you see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely understand if you feel completely horrible if someone's picking on you, but you got to realize that's all because of how you see the situation. The only reason why you're being affected is because you value somebody else's opinion of you.
Well, and that's it. You're seeing it.
Your own.
You're seeing it from their point of view, and assuming they're correct. They're picking on me because I'm ugly. I'm ugly. Who said you were ugly but them?
Exactly.
Like, and like, yeah, it can be bad. Like, I know people who get bullied and they get abused, right? So like I said, there's a point where it's not good. Like, hopefully it teaches you to stand up for yourself. But if you're this little torpy guy, you might not be able to do that. So like, hopefully it teaches you how to ask for help from other people.
Yeah.
Like, but
that
there's always
make you a coward. Actually, that makes you smart.
Well, hopefully, yeah. But again, it's all mindset. It's all focusing on what can I do to resolve this that's within my power. And like you said, it starts with, the story that you're telling yourself, the way you're perceiving their opinion of you. Right? Yep. And it also, the other thing is putting yourself in their shoes.
You make them define your self-worth.
Right. Don't let anybody do that, to be honest. But
exactly, yeah.
Not unless they got something great to say. But the other thing is, a lot of times, and this ends in a very poor dynamic too, but a lot of times what you end up doing is you need to put yourself in their shoes, for one, right? Because a lot of people who bully are coming from a place of being abused themselves, right? And they just don't know how to stand up for themselves, and they're reciprocating on someone else. And the other thing is, I've seen dynamics where people over put themselves in their someone else's shoes, and they're like, well, it's okay, they're allowed, it's fine if they pick on me because they have a bad life at home or something. It's like
Right.
it all comes down to
Hmm.
finding that balance, to making sure you do what's best for you. um but like ultimately, like, you're here to help other people where you can, and like you don't want to do what's best for you and form a bad opinion of someone else, because most of the time they're just projecting their own issues, they're projecting their own problems, um, whether that's verbally or physically or whatever. And so,
Yeah.
the putting yourself in their shoes is very important too, because I think it really opens the door to forgiveness, and that is definitely important, because you don't end up going down a bad path where you refuse to love everybody in your life, even people who don't treat you well.
That's true. Yeah. You don't want to live a life of resentment because of a situation like that.
Right. Right.
However, it's like you know, you, you said put yourself in their shoes. You also have to just realize too that like it's this is the way you're seeing it right now. If I don't value well, I'll give you an example right here that's really good. It's like we, you know, a dog barks at you. You don't question the dog.
Yeah.
Why is he barking at you? And that doesn't like you don't take that personally. But someone else who has a bad day and blames it on you, we take that personally. So it's all about how you see it and all about the meaning that you apply to it. And that's the most destructive thing and thought process you can project on yourself is that you are unworthy. And when you don't have your own control of it, when you put it into the hands of somebody else,
Right.
um, aka like a bully, then you're really vulnerable to be emotionally abused.
Well, oh man, Corey Wayne was always right when he said, what you tolerate, you permit more of, and so like tolerating yourself, permitting yourself to act a certain way is permitting things to fall into a greater degeneration. Like you you have to take the control you can take, but you also have to acknowledge you can take control. And there are good actions you can take. You don't have to kill anybody. Some people are like, man, I wish I could kill that person. Like I know some people who got really bullied in high school, and they were so angry because they weren't doing anything about it. So they were expressing the fact that they were angry at themselves for feeling a lack of control. Um, and they wanted to like inflict harm on the other person, and like it starts with realizing that you can do something, realizing that, you know, letting things be doesn't always help. You have to take action in almost every case, I would say. And you have to acknowledge that, if you're going to tolerate it, it's going to keep happening. It's like
yeah,
this the
right, right,
same,
right.
the insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah, no, for sure. What do you mean by action though?
Well, and that varies a lot. Like sometimes the only action you can take is practicing a good mental state of mind, or talking to a friend to reaffirm that you're not who someone else is telling you you are, or spending the time to think about it yourself. Sometimes it means calling people out. Like I have never been in a position where I was so weak where I couldn't call someone out. But like sometimes stopping something of that degree is simply saying, you are doing this. You can stop doing this.
Hmm.
And I'm acknowledging that you are doing this, right? And it's bringing forth the truth through your words. And that a lot of times is all you need to do. Like calling people out, I bet that would resolve like 50% of life problems for people. I honestly think if people would call things out as they saw it, honestly, from, you know, their perspective, and their genuine expression of feeling and what they believe and what they see as true, most people would be willing to look at, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people would be willing to say, you know what, at the absolute best case scenario or absolute worst case scenario, I should stop picking on them because people are going to notice I'm picking on them.
Right.
And like, yeah, there's a lot of other ways that
That's
could
right.
go, and there's a lot of other action you could take. Like I think I told you the story of my dad when there was a kid who used to beat people up, and one day he beat the shit out of the guy on the playground, and all the teachers watched, and he never picked on anybody again. And it wasn't like my dad walked around bullying people, but this kid did something stupid to him, and he knew that this guy was making other people's lives miserable, and he just beat the shit out of him. And everybody said this guy had it coming, and he didn't do more than he needed to do. He did all he needed to do, and the guy never did it again. And that, like sometimes you have to take dramatic action, and like that's, yeah, like what action you take depends on the scenario, right? And it also depends on your level of comfort with what action you think you can take. But most of the time, you can take the action you don't think you can take. You probably have it in you. I mean, honestly, if you were some torpy little guy and you knocked someone in the face, one, they probably wouldn't see that coming. Two, yeah, you might get the crap beat out of you, but I mean, how's that going to make
They
you
know
feel?
now that you've been pissing them
Yeah,
off.
you're willing to fight back. You're not
Yeah.
afraid, so
Right.
you're
That
willing to give it
definitely
your
shows
best
something
shot.
too. I want to add on to the point you made about uh like calling people out is I think mainly like if you're the bully, like you don't really realize that someone's taking your message that personally, since in reality it's all in the victim's mind
Yeah,
of how he views it. So even calling people out can just let hey somebody else know that you're taking it this way and you didn't like that, and hey maybe if they're nice enough they would stop. But I still think it's a self-worth issue.
right.
But even
And
let's
the
talk
other
about
thing
like
is,
physical bullying too, because it's like, yeah, even physical bullying, sure, that's a lot more dangerous. It's like than emotional bullying, but to learn from situations like that and be smart and be able to, ask for help, ask for a team, an army, like whatever, like, and protect yourself can be very important too. It's different because we don't live in this kind of world any day where we don't live in this kind of world anymore where we're fighting to survive. So it's a little different, but that's what people have to do is fight to survive. This is a way to survive. If you need to protect yourself physically, it's good
right,
to be
yeah,
able to do that and to be able to ask for help so you can do that. And it's not, it doesn't make you a coward to do that, but it makes you smart. Like if I'm going up against someone I'm not, uh, you know, able to defend myself physically, I'm gonna get a team of people who can watch my back. So, you can always learn from these situations as well.
right. Well, and the other thing is, like like you said, it really does come down to one's perspective, right? Because a lot of times there's a lot of scenarios, and I can say this from my own story. I'm not talking for anybody else here, but I have no problem talking for anybody else because I know how this can be. A lot of times people aren't bullying you, right? Like that's how men are in general. Like men grow through challenge, and men also test men through challenge, and they do it subtly.
It's very
Like
true. That's very true.
at work, we pick on each other all the time, right? And like if you are weak minded or weak willed, and yeah, you might not like that word, but yeah, I'm going to use it because to some degree that is the reality. And someone else making a jab at you cripples you, like that's not bullying. Even if you call it bullying, that's not bullying. Like men do that all the time. That's why when, like when we cross paths, we shove each other or whatever, like we're not gentle with each other. We're not like, it's the same thing at work. It's like
Mhm.
I come into work and, one of my coworkers says, says, "Hey, what car did you wreck today?" or something, and I shoot something back like, it doesn't matter. I thought you were gonna wake up dead anyway because you're so old. And it's like, yeah, you could take that the wrong way if you are of weak mindset. You could be like, "What? They called me old? What? They said I can't drive." Like who gives a shit? You're here to jest, and that's how men test each other most of the time. They want to know if they can trust you. If you bend under the pressure of a jest, what sort of pressure can you hold outside of that? Like, you're gonna run in the face of a fight. Like, so that's a big important thing to acknowledge, is that with most people, with especially men, from my experience and my beliefs, is that men, that's how men connect with other men. They want to know that they can trust you, because when shit hits the fan, they want to know they got the right
That's
people in
right.
their team. And
Uh-huh.
so, again,
They
it
can't,
really
yeah, they
does come
can't
down to
trust you if
perception.
you,
You could be
it comes
perceiving
down
it
to the
wrong.
emotional response. If you handle it emotionally, they can't
Yeah.
trust you.
And a
Yeah,
lot of times, I think that's what's happening in high school, to be honest, when you have emotional stuff. A lot of times, I think it is people with their own problems, but I also think a lot of times it's people testing you, because one, you either represented yourself as weak, two, other people represented you as weak, or three, they want to know. They don't know and they want to know. Some people are going pushing their own boundaries. They want to see how far they can get with doing harmful things. But a lot of times they don't know. Like, I think more often than not, well, I think a good scenario, a good number of cases is just just what should be recognized as simple aggressive jest that, and again, it's different for women. I can't really speak for women, um, but for men, I think that just gets overlooked a lot.
yeah, yeah,
Did
yeah,
you have
yeah.
anything else you wanted to add?
The only thing is, make the victim stronger. Help the victims. Don't get rid of the bullies.
Well, and as I was actually just talking about this morning, and I shared it with you after Sven talked about it. But that triangle dynamic, the drama versus empowerment, don't play the victim, right? The opposite, which I didn't know this, right? This is so beautiful. The opposite of victim is creator, and like, that is all a shift in mental attitude. It's how can you go from seeing yourself as the victim of something to seeing the opportunity to create something better out of a scenario. And I'm not pretending that's easy at all. That is not easy, right? But that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do if you really want to help yourself and help other people.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right.
Anyways, yep. Guys, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Might mind.
All of us here at
See
the
you in
Hive
the
Mind, guys.
future.
Peace out.